What's going on, everybody? This is Libb. I'm down here at the local cemetery off of Milwaukee. Just finished. We're in the middle of jogging 2.75 miles. I thought I'd stop and do a few on-the-spot commentaries. Here's the cemetery of Rod, Jana, Germanka. Now the point I want to make here, which I tried to explain to my two nephews while I was in California over the 4th of July weekend, is that when an atomic geometry such as Rod, shown here, comes into existence, I tried to explain to the nephews that you can't technically say that Rod is alive or dead when he moves around for a certain number of years. And I explained this as we were passing the large electric powered windmills or wind making electric generators in California, that you couldn't say, for example, that the windmill is alive because it's an atomic geometry that doesn't have the properties commonly associated with carbon-based animation, which is what Rod is here. And the windmills are in a type of aluminum or metal type of animated geometry. So where, for example, does the energy of Rod go when he ceases to exist? What the old-timers would call the soul, as I tried to explain to the young nephews, that one of the reasons why it's difficult to get a Department of Social Physics going in America, or anywhere in the world for that matter, as was tried at Princeton in the 1950s and attempted at Oxford in the 19th century, is that there's no symbols for delta G anywhere in the cemetery. You'll see crosses, you can see trees, angels, stars, but there's no symbol for energy anywhere in the cemetery. So that's why the resistance for starting a social physics in America is. Now, getting back to the Rod here, the old timers would say Rod has a soul and he has free will, and that when he dies his soul is returned to the afterlife, either reincarnated or resurrected. The new way of thinking about things is that Rod is when he comes into existence, is an animated chin-ups plus 20 elemental geometry, and he has a structure comprised of 26 elements that forms a dynamic structure that has a turnover rate, which means that every year 98% of the atoms in Rod's body turn over while he's animated and existing. And during that time, to explain that you can't necessarily say that a thing energy has a right or wrong to it, but you can say an energy has naturalness and unnaturalness to it, and that's what the old timers would call wrong actions and right actions. So it's just like a whirlpool. A whirlpool forms in a river and it maintains the same circular shape even though water molecules continually rotate through it. So the same is true of Rod here, that when he existed for, say, 50 years, we would say that he has a bound state energy structure quantified by a certain energy, which is measured in joules. Now, energy itself doesn't necessarily exist as a real thing, but the fermions and which are the matter portion of Rod, and the boson, which is the force portion of Rod, constitute his essence as a person. Now, when someone makes a wrong choice, we would say that he is comprised of a structure that is predisposed to make unnatural choices, whereas someone like Da Vinci is a bound state atomic geometry predisposed to make more natural choices in their actions. So until we start seeing delta G's on cemeteries instead of crosses, which goes back to Egyptian mythology, there will still be resistance to starting a social physics program in America. Talk later.